How do submarines store and cook enough meals to sustain their crew for months without ever surfacing? Unlike surface ships, subs cannot receive regular food deliveries. From the moment they leave port, they carry everything they'll need for an entire mission. Fresh produce, meat, and everyday essentials like milk and bread must be carefully packed, rationed, and stored in ways that maximize both space and freshness. Every inch of available space is used. The galley, or kitchen, is no bigger than a small walk-in closet. Yet the crew must be fed 3 times a day, every day, without fail. Specially trained Navy culinary specialists manage the impossible, preparing thousands of meals in a high-pressure environment using limited resources and keeping morale high even in the most isolated conditions. But how long can fresh food really last underwater? What happens when supplies run low? And what does a meal actually look like after 90 days at sea? Before a nuclear sub leaves port, a crucial mission takes place. Not a weapons check or a security briefing, but food loading. Unlike surface ships, submarines cannot simply restock supplies at sea. Everything the crew will eat for the entire mission, sometimes lasting 90 days or more, must be carefully planned, packed, and stored before departure. The process starts weeks in advance. Navy supply officers and culinary specialists work together to calculate exactly how much food is needed for the journey. They consider not only calorie intake but also nutrition, dietary restrictions, and even morale-boosting meals. Every meal must be accounted for, from the first fresh steak served on day 1 to the last bowl of canned soup weeks later. Once the food is ordered, the loading process begins. This is no small feat. Submarines have narrow hatches, and every box, bag, and container must be passed in by hand, one by one, through tight spaces. Fresh foods like fruits, vegetables, and dairy are loaded last to ensure that they stay fresh for as long as possible. Dry goods, such as rice, pasta, and flour, are stacked strategically in hidden compartments. Frozen meats and seafood are packed into deep freezers, and canned goods fill every available shelf. Even the crew's sleeping quarters are temporarily used for storage. Until enough food is consumed to free up free space, some sailors find themselves sleeping next to stacks of canned beans and crates of frozen chicken. Efficiency is everything. Once the submarine dives, there's no turning back. But with space so limited, how do submarines ensure that every inch is used effectively? Let's take a closer look at the ingenious ways they optimize storage below the surface. But first, we're on a mission to reach 50,000 subscribers and bring more Navy stories to light. Would you like to subscribe and join the journey? Just click the button at the bottom right. Alright, let's move on. With months worth of food on board and no room to waste, every inch of a submarine is carefully designed for maximum efficiency. Unlike surface ships, which have large storerooms and spacious kitchens, submarines must store supplies in the tightest spaces imaginable. If there's an empty gap under the floors, behind walls, even inside unused equipment compartments, you can bet it's filled with food. As the mission progresses and food is consumed, storage areas are gradually cleared, freeing up space for the crew. In the first few weeks, submariners might sleep beside crates of fresh fruit or stacks of vacuum-sealed meat. Over time, these areas become more comfortable as food supplies dwindle. Since refrigeration space is extremely limited, submarines prioritize foods with long shelf lives. Dry goods like pasta, rice, and flour are stored in airtight containers to prevent spoilage. Freezers are packed with meat, seafood, and frozen vegetables, carefully stacked to maximize every cubic inch. Fresh produce is rationed, with fast-spoiling items like leafy greens consumed first, while longer-lasting foods like apples, potatoes, and onions are saved for later weeks. Even the kitchen itself is built for efficiency. The galley, no bigger than a small closet, has storage compartments built into every available space. Drawers and cabinets are secured to prevent items from shifting when the submarine tilts or dives. Every tool, every ingredient, and every piece of equipment has a designated place, ensuring that the chefs can work quickly in their confined space. But storing food is only half the challenge. Once it's time to cook, the crew must prepare meals for over 100 sailors in a kitchen smaller than most home pantries. So how do they do it? Let's take a look inside the sub's galley. With storage space at a premium and no option for resupply, submarines rely on advanced food preservation techniques to ensure that their supplies last for months underwater. From vacuum sealing to freeze drying, every method is carefully selected to maximize shelf life while maintaining nutritional value. Fresh food is always the first to be consumed. The leafy greens, the fresh dairy, and soft fruits like bananas and berries are eaten within the first week before they spoil. Hardier produce, like apples and potatoes and carrots, can last for several weeks if stored properly. Eggs, surprisingly, can stay fresh for months without refrigeration if they remain unwashed, as their natural coating prevents bacteria from entering. For long-term storage, subs use vacuum sealing to remove air from packaging, slowing the oxidation process that causes food to spoil. Freeze-dried ingredients like soups, vegetables, and even scrambled eggs are also common. These foods retain their nutrients and flavor, but take up significantly less space. Canned goods play a vital role in submarine storage. Meats, vegetables, and even bread can be canned, ensuring a steady supply of essential nutrients even when fresh options run out. Subs also carry powdered milk, dehydrated potatoes, and other staple ingredients that can be reconstituted with water. Meat and seafood are stored in deep freezers, stacked tightly to conserve space. Frozen items are rationed strategically, with some portions reserved for special meals to boost crew morale. Even baked goods are carefully planned. Flour and yeast are stored in airtight containers, allowing the crew to bake fresh bread when supplies of prepackaged loaves run out. With every meal carefully planned and preserved, the submarine chefs now face their next challenge: preparing these ingredients in one of the smallest kitchens in the military. Deep inside the submarine, past rows of sleeping quarters and control panels, lies one of the most important rooms on board, the galley. This tiny kitchen, no larger than a walk-in closet, is where the entire crew's meals are prepared. Despite the tight space, the galley must operate like a high-efficiency restaurant, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner for over 100 sailors every single day. Every inch of the galley is designed for maximum functionality. There are no open flames. Fire is a serious hazard on a submarine, so all cooking is done with electric stovetops, ovens, and steamers. Compact refrigerators and freezers store perishable items, while dry goods are kept in tightly secured cabinets to prevent movement from when the submarine tilts or dives. Storage isn't the only challenge, so is time. The crew works in shifts, meaning meals must be served around the clock. Unlike surface ships where sailors can dine at their leisure, submariners have tightly scheduled meal breaks. Everything must be prepared quickly, efficiently, and in large quantities. The cooking process itself is a balancing act. With limited fresh ingredients, chefs must be creative, modifying recipes as supplies dwindle. Meals are planned in advance, but substitutions are often necessary. Despite these constraints, the kitchen staff works tirelessly to ensure variety and nutrition in every meal. But how do they actually prepare meals in such a confined space? What techniques allow them to cook full meals for an entire crew without missing a beat? With no open flames allowed, chefs rely on electric stoves, convection ovens, and steamers to cook food. Griddles are used for everything from pancakes to burgers, while pressure cookers help speed up the preparation of stews and soups. Every piece of equipment must be compact, durable, and capable of cooking large quantities of food quickly. One of the biggest challenges is meal variety. As fresh ingredients run low, chefs must adjust menus using frozen, canned, and dehydrated foods without making meals repetitive or boring. Sauces, spices, and a little creative cooking technique help transform basic ingredients into flavorful dishes. For example, a simple batch of frozen chicken can be turned into grilled chicken one night a stir fry the next, and then shred it into tacos for later in the week. Time is another critical factor. The crew operates in shifts, meaning meals must be ready at all hours of the day. There's no room for delays. Everything must be served on time, every time. Teamwork is key, with each chef responsible for different components of the meal to keep service running smoothly. But running a submarine kitchen takes more than just cooking skills. It requires specialized training and adaptability under pressure. If you were a submarine chef, what would be the one meal that you'd make sure to have on board for months underwater? Let us know in the comments. So how are these chefs prepared for the unique challenges of submarine life? Cooking on a nuclear sub isn't just about making meals. It's about keeping the crew energized, healthy, and in good spirits during long, isolated missions. That's why submarine chefs, known as culinary specialists, undergo extensive training before ever setting foot in the galley. Unlike regular Navy cooks, they have to master not only cooking skills, but also time management, resourcefulness, and the ability to work under extreme pressure in confined spaces. Their training begins at the U.S. Navy Culinary School, where they learn the fundamentals of large-scale meal prep, food safety, and nutrition. But for those assigned to submarines, additional specialized training is required. They're taught how to work in compact kitchens, maximize food storage, and prepare meals using limited fresh ingredients. They also practice cooking with electric appliances instead of open flames, as fire hazards are a serious concern in a submerged vessel. Now, beyond cooking, sub-chefs must also be inventory experts. Since resupply isn't an option, they learn how to carefully ration ingredients, ensuring food lasts for the entire deployment. They have to anticipate how much of each item will be needed weeks in advance, adjusting meal plans as supplies dwindle. Adaptability is another crucial skill. Submarine life is unpredictable and emergencies can happen at any time. If a mission is extended unexpectedly, chefs must stretch existing supplies even further. If equipment breaks, they must find alternative cooking methods. No matter the challenge, they're expected to deliver hot, satisfying meals on time every time. Now, despite the demanding conditions, submarine chefs play a vital role in maintaining morale. A well-cooked meal can make all the difference in boosting the crew's spirits. But beyond food variety, how do submariners keep meals exciting during months underwater? Let's explore how the Navy ensures variety and special meals to break the monotony. While submarine chefs are trained to cook efficiently, they also have to ensure that meals remain varied and enjoyable, even as fresh ingredients become a little more scarce. Eating the same meals over and over again would quickly become monotonous. So careful planning goes into creating a diverse menu that keeps the crew satisfied. To maintain variety, meals follow a rotating schedule incorporating different cuisines and flavors. Breakfast might include eggs, bacon, and pancakes one day, and breakfast burritos or omelets the next. Lunches and dinners range from hearty stews and pasta dishes to grilled meats and international favorites like stir-fry, tacos, or curry. Sauces, seasonings, and creative preparation methods also help transform basic ingredients into exciting meals, ensuring the menu doesn't become repetitive. Special meals are another way to break the routine. On certain days, the gallery prepares more elaborate dishes, like steak and seafood night or homemade pizza. These meals provide a sense of celebration, giving the crew something to look forward to. Even desserts like fresh-baked cookies and cakes are carefully planned to boost morale. But variety isn't just about taste. It's also about nutrition. Submarine chefs have to balance proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins to keep the crew healthy and alert. As fresh supplies dwindle, frozen and canned alternatives take their place, ensuring that meals remain both nutritious and appetizing. Still, even with careful planning, fresh ingredients eventually run out. So how does the crew manage when there are no more fresh fruits, vegetables, or dairy products? From the moment the submarine leaves port, the crew follows a strategic plan to consume fresh ingredients before they spoil, gradually transitioning to frozen, canned, and dried alternatives. The first week of deployment is when the crew enjoys the most fresh produce. Leafy greens, soft fruits like bananas and berries, and dairy products such as fresh milk are consumed first. They have the shortest shelf life. Refrigeration space is extremely limited, so items that don't require cold storage like eggs, onions, and potatoes are prioritized for later use. Certain fruits and vegetables are selected specifically for their ability to last. Now, fresh bread disappears quickly, so after the first couple of weeks the crew transition to frozen loaves or bakes fresh bread using stored flour and yeast. To further extend the availability of fresh food, some ingredients are vacuum sealed to slow spoilage. Others are kept in controlled humidity environments to prevent premature decay. And even with these precautions, by the end of the second month, most fresh produce is gone, and meals rely heavily on frozen and preserved ingredients. Imagine being stuck underwater for 90 days. What's the one food you couldn't live without? Let me know in the comments. But even without fresh food, submarine chefs still find ways to make meals enjoyable. This is especially important for maintaining morale, particularly during special occasions and holidays. So how do submariners celebrate milestones while living beneath the oceans? The crew always finds time to celebrate special occasions. Birthdays, holidays, and mission milestones offer much-needed breaks from routine, and food plays a key role in making these moments feel even more special. Major holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the 4th of July are observed with special meals. Even if the sub is thousands of miles from land, the crew can expect a holiday feast, complete with turkey, stuffing, and desserts. The chefs plan ahead to reserve frozen turkeys and traditional sides, ensuring that these important days still feel kind of familiar. Occasionally, the crew holds themed meal nights to break the monotony. Taco nights, barbecue dinner, and even makeshift surf and turf using frozen steak and shrimp create a sense of celebration. These events offer a psychological boost, giving sailors something to look forward to during long deployments. Despite the cramped quarters and lack of traditional holiday decorations, food becomes the centerpiece of these celebrations. It's a reminder of normal life outside the submarine and strengthens the bond between crew members. But even with these morale boosters, life underwater presents constant challenges, especially when it comes to managing supplies for months on end. So how does a submarine ensure it never runs out of food? Let's explore the strict inventory management that keeps every meal on schedule. Now, unlike surface ships, which can receive fresh supplies at sea, submarines must carry every ounce of food needed for the entire mission. Once those hatches are sealed and the vessel submerges, there's no turning back. Careful inventory management is the only way to ensure that food lasts for months without shortages or waste. Every submarine operates with a strict rationing system. Before deployment, Navy officers calculate exact quantities of food based on the number of crew members and the length of the mission. Portions are precisely measured to prevent overuse, and meal plans are structured to stretch supplies as efficiently as possible. Perishable items, of course, are consumed first, while frozen, canned, and dehydrated foods are strategically introduced as fresh supplies dwindle. The transition is seamless. Fresh veggies give way to frozen alternatives, while powdered milk replaces real dairy after the first few weeks or so. Bread, a staple for many meals, shifts from fresh loaves to frozen stock, and then eventually to sub-baked bread. Wasted food is not an option. Every ingredient is accounted for, and leftovers are repurposed into future meals. Despite these efforts, though, unexpected mission extensions can put food supplies to the test. In such cases, chefs must stretch remaining ingredients even further, modifying meal plans to conserve resources. Careful planning and adaptability ensure that the crew maintains well-fed no matter how long they remain submerged. But food inventory isn't the only challenge. Waste and disposal presents another problem. With no way to simply just throw out the garbage, how does a submarine manage its food waste? On a sub, waste management is just as critical as food storage. With no option to just simply throw it overboard, every bit of waste, especially food scraps, must be carefully handled to maintain cleanliness, prevent contamination, and ensure the crew's health. The first step in waste management is minimizing excess. Since food is carefully portioned and meal plans are precisely structured, there is very little leftover waste. Any edible leftovers are repurposed into future meals whenever possible, reducing the amount of discarded food. But some waste is unavoidable, like vegetable peels, bones, and packaging materials. Food waste that cannot be repurposed is processed through a specialized system. Subs use trash compactors and trash disposal units to compress waste into small, manageable packages. These compacted waste bundles, known as weighted trash ejections, are placed into biodegradable bags and stored in designated compartments until they can be properly disposed of after surfacing. Some subs have systems that allow for the controlled ejection of waste into the ocean, but strict environmental regulations dictate what can be released. Hygiene in the galley is also a top priority. In a confined and enclosed environment like a sub, any contamination can quickly spread illness among the crew. Strict cleaning procedures are in place, requiring all cooking surfaces, utensils, and food storage areas to be disinfected regularly. Water conservation is another challenge. Dishes are washed using carefully controlled amounts of water to prevent waste. By maintaining strict food waste management and hygiene protocols, submarines ensure a safe and healthy living environment for the crew. But beyond waste control, another critical factor in submarine nutrition is ensuring meals remain balanced and nutritious for months. So how does the Navy maintain a proper diet deep beneath the ocean? Since submariners work in a physically and mentally demanding environment, their diet must be carefully planned to maintain energy, focus, and overall health. Navy dietitians work alongside supply officers and culinary specialists to design meal plans that meet strict nutritional guidelines. A typical submarine diet is high in protein, complex carbohydrates, and essential vitamins to keep the crew energized and alert. Meals often include lean meats, fish, eggs, and beans for protein, while rice, pasta, and whole grains provide necessary carbohydrates. Frozen and canned vegetables ensure a steady intake of fiber and micronutrients long after fresh produce is run out. With space limitations, submariners don't have the luxury of snacking freely like they would on land. Instead, meals are structured to provide sustained energy, preventing mid-shift crashes. High-calorie meals are particularly important for submariners who work in physically demanding roles, like mechanics and engineers. Desserts and comfort foods like cookies and ice cream are occasionally served as morale boosters, but are carefully portioned to avoid excessive weight gain in the confined environment. Hydration is also a key factor. Since submarines make their own fresh water through desalination, clean drinking water is always available. However, space constraints limit the storage of beverages like soda and juice, so powdered drink mixes are often used. By maintaining a well-balanced diet, submariners can stay healthy and focused throughout long missions. But no matter how well they eat, living underwater for months is still a challenge. Feeding a nuclear submarine crew for months underwater is a true logistical challenge, but thanks to careful planning, resourceful chefs, and military precision, every meal keeps the crew fueled and focused. Now here's a question for you. If you had to live on a submarine for 3 months, what food would you miss the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next video.